Ukrainian air forces have struck hangars where Russian soldiers were gathered in eastern Donetsk region. The relevant video footage has been shared on Telegram channels. A large number of people were killed as Su-27 fighters struck the hangar where Russian soldiers were gathered near the village of Bogodar with a US-made GBU-62 aerial bomb. Ukrainian aviation has increased its airstrikes on invaders' positions in the occupied territories of Ukraine and in the border regions of Russia. The strikes are usually carried out with Western-made bombs provided to Ukraine as part of military aid. It should be noted that although the Russian army has repeatedly announced the capture of the village of Bogodar in the past month, the Ukrainian army has denied these claims and stated that fighting for the village is continuing.
Ukrainian startup launches fully autonomous drone strikes deep into Russian territory, rewriting the rules of modern warfare, Forbes reports. In a historic military breakthrough, Ukrainian defense startup Strategy Force Solutions has successfully deployed autonomous drone motherships in real combat operations against Russian forces, a world first that could reshape global defense strategies. Their breakthrough system, GOGOL-M, swaps out traditional $3 to $5 million missile strikes for AI-driven missions costing just $10,000. While global powers like the US and China continue testing autonomous weapons, Ukraine has leapfrogged ahead, deploying AI-powered drone swarms on the battlefield today, not years from now. The Gogol-M mothership, boasting a 6-meter wingspan, can autonomously fly up to 300 kilometers behind enemy lines. It then releases 2 smaller attack drones that identify and destroy targets without human control. At the core of the system is Smart Pilot, an onboard AI that mirrors the instincts of a human fighter pilot. It uses multi-sensor fusion, combining cameras, LiDAR and communications to navigate and strike in environments where GPS and radio signals are jammed. In some ways, it's a self-driving car, says CTO Andriy. He explains that while there aren't many obstacles in the air, the system still needs to remain lightweight. To achieve that balance, the team engineered a streamlined setup using cameras, LiDAR and communication tools to enable real-time navigation and coordination. LiDAR, which acts like laser radar, generates a detailed 3D map of the surroundings and functions in all lighting and weather, essential for reliable autonomous missions in hostile conditions. This gives the drones the ability to destroy parked jets and air defense, hit oil depots and infrastructure, strike deep into Russia with precision. One military operator described the experience. "It feels like a video game. I set the waypoints and watch it work. In one of its most striking features, the drone can land near enemy targets, remain hidden and wait for hours before launching a surprise strike, a capability described as autonomous ambush mode. This gives Ukrainian forces a powerful edge in asymmetric warfare, allowing for stealth operations previously thought impossible with drone tech. While the Pentagon's Defense Innovation Unit and China's drone makers remain in testing phases, Ukraine is already in full-scale production. Strategy Force Solutions now builds 50 Gogol-Ms and 400 attack drones per month, constrained only by military demand. The company's software-first approach also allows easy adaptation to new platforms, from flying drones to unmanned boats and ground vehicles. Military analysts suggest that Russia must now defend against autonomous swarms that don't need GPS, live control, or constant communication, a nightmare for traditional air defense systems. As Forbes tech correspondent David Hambling notes, the crucial first step, long-range autonomous drone delivery, has now been taken. It may be version 1.0, but it's already a problem for Russia. The Russians are deploying a significant number of Tu-95MS strategic bombers to the Oenia airfield to confuse Ukrainian intelligence, particularly in matters of planning routes for Ukrainian UAVs. This opinion was expressed on air by Lieutenant General, former Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Igor Romanenko. They are protecting themselves in this way, while we are gathering ourselves, while we are conducting reconnaissance, planning routes, and they will rise and redeploy. And we see that they are trying to do this all the time. And this is good because they are spending resources, preserving instead of striking. Romanenko explained. The Lieutenant General called this an important achievement of the Ukrainian Defense Forces and compared it to the start of operations in the Black Sea, which were aimed at displacing the Russian fleet. Look at the results this led to. We drove them into other ports, destroyed a third of their ships and vessels, and now we are chasing their strategic aviation in this way, Romanenko added. So Ukraine may destroy Russian Tu-95MS strategic bombers at the Oenia airfield. Earlier, Defense Express reported, citing satellite images, that Russia had pulled up to 20% of its total Tu-95MS strategic bombers to the Oenia airfield. At the same time, at the Engels airfield, from where enemy aircraft take off during massive strikes on Ukraine, as of May the 25th, there were 6 Tu-95MS bombers, 3 Tu-160s, and 4 Su-34 fighters. It is noteworthy that the next day there were 3 Tu-95MSs, the same number of Tu-960s, and 2 Su-34s. After the Russian occupiers launched a massive missile strike on Ukrainian territory on May the 26th, 7 Tu-95MS aircraft landed simultaneously at the Engels airfield, another enemy bomber headed for Oenia. From these specific maneuvers, one can assume that the Russians are constantly ferrying their bombers between different airfields intentionally in order to confuse the intelligence structures of the defense forces of Ukraine and partner countries. In particular, to complicate the recording of the moment of a combat flight to carry out a new missile strike on Ukraine. At the same time, it turns out that the Russians are going for such maneuvers even at the cost of overspending the limited resource of flight hours for the Tu-95MS, Tu-22M3 and Tu-160 at the same time. The authors of the material state, the occupiers also transferred 12 aircraft there, which could belong to both the enemy's transport aviation and to the naval aviation. At the same time, experts note that during the last massive strike on May the 26th, Russia used only 3 of the 11 strategic bombers that were at this airfield against Ukraine.